Tonight on Brumbies TV, we catch up with coaches Dan McKellar and Peter Ryan. Scott Seo takes us behind the scenes, and we preview the Brumbies' first match in South Africa.
Hello and welcome to Brumbies TV, where we discuss all the latest news and views of Super Rugby. I'm Brittany Bloomer. This week, Brumbies defence coach Peter Ryan and former player turned coach Marco Caputo joined us in the studio. First though, we caught up with Brumbies assistant coach Dan McKellar.
We're here with Brumbies forwards coach Dan McKellar. Dan, how do you think we went against the Force?
It was a solid performance. You know, we got the points. It's obviously tough going over there with the time difference, and on the back of two pretty tough games against the Hurricanes, and obviously a physical encounter against the Tars. So, you know, it was good to get the points and get the tour off to a good start.
Did they surprise us a bit?
No, they didn't surprise us. Like, we've got full respect for them. We knew they were going to be hard at the breakdown, hard on the ball. McKelman, Hodgson, those guys. Had some impact there and disrupted our speed of delivery at the breakdown, I suppose. So, but we still played some good rugby in patches, and our attack shape continues to evolve, which is good. And we were certainly dominant at set piece.
Dan, looking ahead, we got the Stormers coming up in a few days' time. What are you expecting?
A big physical South African team. You know, like their forward pack have been dominant the last couple of years, in particular around the scrum. So we need to be turn up with that attitude of being ready for a physical encounter. We just need to, I suppose, just focus on ourselves and getting our game right and not worrying too much about them.
All right. Well, Dan McKellar, thanks for spending time on Brumbies TV.
It's a pleasure, Paul.
Hi guys, Scott Seo here live with Brumbies TV. We've got Tomination Staniforth with me. Massive effort today, mate. I thought you added a lot off the bench today. How'd you feel out there?
Yeah, mate, just really happy to be out there. I grew up idolising the Brumbies, and it's just really happy to be able to get out there and play for the team.
Big game today, mate. Back in the team this week. How'd you feel out there?
Yeah, it felt pretty good. It's very physical, eh? That first 40 was bloody physical and very grinding game. But it was good to get the win. You know, it was tough tonight, but looking forward to next week.
Well, there was a rumour going around that the Brumbies actually wanted to recruit Richie, but at the time he was injured and said no, so we ended up with you. We just want to know what happened around there.
No, I don't know anything about that, I think that's all fabricated lies, So,
Bernie told me that.
Oh, that source is no good then, mate, whoever's his source is, so, yeah.
No, I'm just playing around with you guys. Always good to have the big fella here on Brumbies TV. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
In other games, the Hurricanes had a narrow win over the Blues. The Highlanders were too good for the Lions. The Cheetahs came from behind to defeat the Sunwolves in Singapore. And the Chiefs remain on top of the New Zealand Conference after a bonus point win over the Kings. Taking a look at the ladder after 3 rounds, only 2 teams remain undefeated, the Brumbies and competition newcomers, the Sharks. Queensland Reds are still looking for their first win of the season, while the Sunwolves are also winless going into round 4.
Well, it's very difficult, obviously. We had a maximum number of 24 tries scored against us throughout the season last year, and we've got to try and do a little bit better than that this year. So we're always striving to go one step further, and that's our main goal. Well, honestly, the same reason why I came the first time. It was very family orientated. The culture is based on mateship and that camaraderie that you have in a team. And I was fortunate enough while I was playing rugby league to have a very similar culture at the Broncos. And it stems from a long period of time where it's just been a constant hard work and everyone working for each other.
Oh, look, there's some really good talent there. I think the under-20s program now, there's a clearly defined pathway for the players. So obviously the objective is to get players from the under-20s program into the elite team and playing as professional contracted Brumbies. But to get from A to point B, there's a little bit of a road that they've got to get through. Obviously, players will be striving to get into the Aussie 20s and compete in the World Cup for the under-20s. And then outside of that, if there's an opportunity for them to pick up an opportunity with one of the NRC teams and get a little bit of exposure that way. But look, it's a great initiative. The ARU are throwing plenty at it, and it really gives those boys involved in the program a really clearly defined program which probably hasn't been around. Well, back in the early days when I first started, it was we had players that sort of came in from all over the place who probably couldn't get an opportunity at New South Wales and Queensland, and those players in amongst the local guys here that were doing well. So I guess we always had something to prove, and we had played with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and that's sort of held us in good stead. But there was always been a philosophy around sort of challenging, what is mainstream and being a little bit of innovative in the way we played. So that sort of transferred through, and then obviously the success that had come through that philosophy and the way we played has made the place what it is today.
Well, I suppose it comes back to the individual talent across the board for our whole team at that time frame, and probably the best example is Steve, who's now obviously the head coach, and George Gregan, Sterling Mortlock, and the list is quite long and extensive because of the quality of the players that we had. Then I suppose the same category is now is what we have, this very high calibre players that have a wonderful work ethic, and that they bring the same culture to the rest of the group as what the guys did back in 2001. Don't you know I'm home?
George Smith was always a hero of mine, and at high school I was playing in the back line, so Stephen Larkham was also a hero. I actually got to meet him, would have been in year 10 or 11 when I was at school in Brisbane. So the opportunity came up in Canberra, and it sort of felt like it was just time to move on and I guess challenge myself to improve my game and get coached by different coaches. The quality of coaches and support staff that they have at the Brumbies was a big, reason to move to Canberra from Perth, and I've really enjoyed it and feel like I've grown a lot as a player and a person. My debut was Queensland Reds, I think it was 2013. Lots of nerves. Lots and lots of nerves. I guess new club, wanting to make the most of it. So I think we lost. I think they got a charge down right at the end, and 10 minutes from the end, and scored and won. So not a great start, but
yeah. So I was fortunate enough to be in the original team. So yeah, I hold jersey number 2. Memories from that game. The South Africans objected to putting the Brumbies into Super Rugby, and their particular president at the time was a guy by the name of Louis Late, who got on his stand and professed that Transvaal, who have now formed or morphed into the Lions, he went on record to say that if they were to play this new team.
Well, look, I suppose without going too much into it, I think that there's a large number of teams that really can be vying for final positions this year. Obviously, our closest rivals, the Waratahs, are always at the top of the list for us. As Marco said, that has a historical point for every player that plays for the Brumbies to put your best foot forward playing against those guys. Obviously, leading into the South African trip, the Stormers beat us last year in our competition round, and we were fortunate enough to get over them in the minor final, it was, at the end of our season last year, and we're hoping to do the same again this trip. It does come back to the individual again, and when I say what I mean by that is that if we're concentrating on our small detail in our game, and that can come back to just the catch and pass and doing everything right on a day-to-day basis, and in that our diets for our players, if they're eating well, training or doing extra training sessions on top of training that all leads and gels well for a strong end of the season. And that in itself will then put us in a really strong position coming into the finals, and hopefully we're at the right end of the stick, and we'll do really well.
Charlie, and what are you doing tonight, mate?
Running out with the ball with the Brumbies.
How excited are you?
Very
What do you think you'll feel when you run out?
good.
Good? How excited will it be when everyone cheers for you?
Amazing.
Yeah? What do you think is going to be your favourite thing about tonight?
Lately the Brumbies winning because I lost last video. I want them to defeat their challenge. So they'll get one out of the way.
How do you see the game going?
Good.
Good? What do you reckon will happen?
They might
They might win the comp, and then you'll be cheering. How will you cheer if they win the comp?
be very good.
What will you say? Will you say go Brumbies? Show us how you'll do it.
Go Brumbies!
It's time to take a look at how the Brumbies and the Stormers match up ahead of their clash in Cape Town. The two sides have met 19 times, the Brumbies winning on 12 occasions with the one draw. The last time the two teams met was in June last year at Newlands, where the men from the ACT dominated. Keep an eye out for the two props Scott Seo and Oliver Kebble. Both players tip the scales at well above 110 kilograms and can do some damage up the centre of the park. In other games this weekend, the Hurricanes host the Force, the Waratahs returned from the bye against the Highlanders, the Rebels travel to Tokyo to play the Sunwolves on Saturday, and the Reds are looking for a return to form against the Blues. On Sunday, it's an all-South African affair with the Lions against the Cheetahs, and the Jaguars are back home against the Chiefs.
LE, maybe, I don't know. That's
You're on
it.
the right track.
Nah, I'll give up.
Lealifano.
Close.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Lealifano. I think. Damn it.
LEA.
I can have a crack. LE. A.
L.
LI.
Double I.
FANO.
Forgot an I.
Ah.
FANO, I think.
Perfect, Lath.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No.
Give it a crack.
Lealifano.
Close. Next to go.
Lealifano. No, I couldn't. I
Give it a
couldn't.
crack.
Lots of vowels in there. L. E. L. Liafano.
Close.
LEALIFANO.
Close.
Close?
Got an I.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Christian. No, cannot.
Give it a crack.
LELIFANO.
Close.
Lealifano. Lealifano.
Perfect.
Cheers.
Okay, so we're here from MJ Val, fitting the Brumbies today in their beautiful superfine merino wool suits.
Measuring the neck here.
We're getting the guys fitted up with standard sizes, but if they're outside the size range, we'll get them made custom, so we'll take their measurements and have the factory make it exactly to their specifications. But most guys will fit the suit, and what we'll do is do some alterations, so we'll take it in a little bit, maybe at the back, or tweak up the sleeve a little bit, and the same with the shirts too. So we just make sure that they all fit around the neck so they can wear a tie. If they need a little bit more fitting, we'll take it in at the back so they get a nice fashion silhouette.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice sort of cut and design. The fabric seems to hug the skin quite well, and yeah, very happy to have MJL on board for our suits.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Make sure you tune in to one in Brumbies territory to catch all the action Thursday nights from 8 p.m. I'm Brittany Bloomer. See you next week on Brumbies TV.